Hey guys, and welcome. Today I want to go through 7 things that were changed in Battlefield 2042 with update 1.2 and that you might have not recognized yet. It's only some smaller things this time, but they can still be pretty useful and interesting to know. And the first point is about the new hybrid scope Target T8 that was added with update 1.1 already, but was only accessible for the SFAR and VCAR back then. Theoretically, it was also available and unlockable for some more weapons, but you couldn't equip it because you were not able to see it in the attachments overview. With update 1.2, we finally got a scroll function for the attachments, and now you can scroll to the side and find the new scope. That makes it available for all assault rifles now and for all marksman rifles except for the BSVM. If you haven't heard of the target scope before, it's a variable optic with a 4.5 zoom scope and a canted iron sight with 1.25 zoom. So actually perfect if you like to play on different ranges. With F on PC or the right stick on console, you can easily toggle between the two optics without having to switch scopes via the plus menu. To unlock it, you simply need to do 50 kills while aiming down sights with a respective weapon, so if you have played a lot of assault rifles and DMRs lately, you might have unlocked it already without knowing. What was also changed, and that's something that is surely nice to know, is that for a lot of scopes, the area that you can see when aiming down sights was increased. So while in ADS you will see more of the battlefield and it doesn't feel like you're looking through a ladder slot. This didn't change anything about the actual zoom of the scope, only that the scope itself appears a bit wider. In addition, the peripheral blur around scopes that you also have when aiming down sights, and that was pretty intense lately, was reduced as well. So for example, on the hybrid scope, you are now able to see a lot more through the scope when aiming down sights, but at the same time everything around the scope is not as blurry as it was anymore, and you are at least able to guess if there's an enemy passing by at the edges of your screen while you are looking through the scope. So I think these optics are at a pretty good spot now. Another change that was made, and that is not an actual hidden change but very important, so I'd like to point it out here again, is that you will not get spotted on the minimap anymore when using Paik's scanner. Before the update, you appeared as a red dot on every enemy's minimap while you were scanning your surroundings, and that gave Paik a little disadvantage and made her more vulnerable. Now this disadvantage is gone, and the only thing that is still shown to the enemy side is the notification that they are being spotted while scanning is in progress. So you can be much more stealthy now, especially if you are using a heavy suppressor on your weapon to avoid minimap spotting while shooting as well. If this self-spotting feature was a reason for you to avoid playing Paik, you might want to give her another try now. And for all players of Underbarrel Launchers, there was also a small change made, cause when firing an Underbarrel Launcher, you will now also get spotted on the minimap similar to firing a weapon. So in the moment you fire the launcher, you will briefly appear as a red dot on the enemy's minimap. To be honest, I had no idea that these launchers were stealth before, but in case you knew it and you enjoyed not being visible for everyone, this is gone now. A change that is a lot more interesting and definitely a lot more useful is the little buff that the repair tool received. I'm sure you all can remember that when you were using the repair tool on a vehicle and then either stopped repairing or the tool overheated, there was this delay before the tool started to cool down. And for me personally, this delay always felt a bit like a punishment, and I was not a big fan of it. This delay, however, was completely removed now, and the repair tool starts to cool down immediately when you stop repairing or after overheating. This means you can use it a lot more within the same amount of time and repair a lot more damage within this time frame than before. Because the time you have to wait before you can repair again is much shorter. So using the repair tool feels much more valuable now, and it might make it easier to get your points in for weekly missions or the tool's mastery. And another change that was made and that I really love is that when you spawn on a prone teammate, you will now also spawn in prone stance, instead of standing there like a deer in headlights facing the enemy. It's just a small change, but definitely useful and might avoid a lot of these situations where you spawned right into death cause your teammate was lying safe behind cover while you spawned in there standing upright. And last but not least, there were 2 new features added for the HUD elements. One of them is an extended setting for the aim-based opacity for objective icons, and it allows you to adjust the opacity of icons based on how close or how far away they are from the center of your screen. That means icons in the center of your screen will be more transparent, while icons at the edge of your screen will be more visible. This was added to prevent icons from blocking enemies or enemy gadgets. This feature has an even higher effect when aiming down sights, and by default the opacity is set to such a low level that the objective objective icon is barely visible. So when you aim directly at an objective, the opacity is lower, and when you aim to another point, the opacity of the same icon increases automatically to make it more visible again. If you want to adjust this, you can find all of the settings under Display and then HUD Icons, and here you can not only set the opacity for the icons in the middle of your screen, but also how big you want to define the center of your screen and how big the peripheral area should be. I personally changed nothing here except for the icon opacity central when zoomed, because I felt that this was a bit too low by default, so I increased it from 15 to 20 to make the icon a little less transparent when looking at it. You can also adjust the opacity for the icons outside of the center of your screen, and all settings are also split up into aimed down sides or not aimed down sides. So there's a lot more to customize here now, but if you don't feel like there's something you would like to change, I would not recommend to make any adjustments here. If the opacity is too high or too low, then go over here and play around with the different values. And the second option that was added to the HUD settings is called Horizontal HUD Padding, and you can find it over at Display and then HUD General. With this option you can adjust the left-right position of your HUD elements on the screen. When set to 0, all elements like the minimap and the inventory will be positioned at the edges of the screen. When set to 100, all elements will be closer to the center. This might not have a great effect for everyone playing with a normal 16:9 monitor, but if you have a different resolution with an ultra-wide screen, you can now position the HUD elements at the edges of your screen as well. And that's it for today. Just some smaller changes this time, but surely something that is interesting and useful for some players. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like or a comment below and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching. I'm the Catwoman, and you are awesome.